Hello, all. I am Lindsay Pfister-Kerr with LPK Coaching, and I am so excited to join you today to follow up on what we talked about last month, which is recognizing responsibility, how it shows up, starting to develop that self-awareness, and just to start paying attention as to when do we start taking on more. And this month, we are totally going to build on that even more. And I am so very excited to share that. So thank you to anyone who joined us last month or listened to last month's recording. I know a lot of people that I work with often listen after the fact, which can be here on LinkedIn or over on my YouTube channel because not everybody has the time to give up a half hour in the middle of the day, and I'm fully aware of that. So, like I said, this session is going to build on what we did last month. Last month was self-awareness, recognizing it. Am I taking on responsibility? How much? How quickly is it happening? And just starting to pay attention because sometimes when we start to see it, it's you can't unsee it. It's there. We start recognizing it, but then I can understand the question that could come, which is, now what? Okay, I've recognized it. Fantastic. What do you want me to do with that? And that's what we're going to look at today. We're going to look at in real time, because one of my big focuses is practicality. Myself, everyone I work with doesn't really have time to pause things, step away, take a unlimited amount of time to think about things. What we really have is in the moment, and that can be really hard. People are looking at us, people are depending on us, people want an answer. And so our nervous system, our internal thinking starts to feel like I have to answer right now. And the thing what we're going to look at is we're not going to change how capable you are because you're good at what you do, and that's what's gotten possibly or most likely to this point. What we're going to look at is what you do in that moment that you know is happening, that is giving you the support that you need without it changing everything, but helping you. So I'm curious, after maybe seeing some self-awareness of this or just thinking about responsibility and how you engage with it. I'd be curious if you get a moment to drop in the comments. Does responsibility usually find you, or do you go looking for it? Or does it just always seem to appear? So if you want to add to the comments, that would be great. But I'm curious, stop for a moment and pause. So do you go looking for responsibility? Do you go looking for things to do? Do you try to find things you can be responsible for or take on? Or does it find you? And we talked about this last month because this can happen in both ways. We can train ourselves to just never break that responsibility cycle of it, just everything just keeps adding on and getting put onto our plate to take care of. And on the other side of that, we can run into the situation of we've trained people that we work with or who are in our homes or in our lives that we'll just take it on. So when something comes up, they just kind of stand there and wait for us to take it. So I'd be curious to hear what you think about that. And if you're listening to this after the fact, I'd still love to hear your comments as to does it find you? Do you go looking for it? Or not sure, it just seems to be there. So the biggest thing about this is that those of you who are listening, those who have are taking a few moments to hear this today, I'm going to guess, and I think I'm probably going to assume appropriately, you are capable, you are reliable, you are good at what you do. People describe that to you, you're described that way, you're described as the go-to person, and it's been that way maybe from a young age up, maybe just in your work, wherever. But responsibility that comes in, yes, like I said, we train people to give us those things. But the challenge is that often us responsible, reliable, capable people, we start to assign responsibility internally. And we get to a point that we start assigning it to ourselves before anyone even asks, before anyone even puts anything out there. We've already grabbed it and we're running. And the person's like, they didn't even know. So The challenges that we're looking at is there are these moments, and we have to think about it in this way. There's a lot of moments that can happen like this, but some common moments are there's a message that comes in. It can be verbally, it can be on our cell phones in a text, it can be in an email. It could be somebody said, "Hey, guess what I heard?" Whatever it is, a message comes in and you're already responding. This was a really big problem for me, especially when I was a principal. People would be telling me what the challenges, what the issue was, and I'm partially listening, but I'm already developing my response. I'm already going to give back what we can do, how we can do it, and how we can fix it. I may not even actually be listening to what they're saying, which I'm going to share an example in a moment where I've done that. But that's one possibility. And I think I've shared this before. I one time was in a meeting with someone and they were telling me about this problem they had. And it sound to me in my head, I was spending thousands of dollars and all these hours to fix the problem. There was an issue that there weren't lights on in a certain place. And this person was telling me about how these lights weren't on. And I was like, oh my gosh. And I'm thinking of all the ways we can fix this. And in the end, I said to the person, well, we can do this. And I laid out my whole plan. And the person looked at me and said, the light switch just needs flipped. And I was about to give away thousands of dollars in man hours. And if I would have sat, listened to hear what my responsibility in this situation was, it was flipping a light switch. So that's one way it happens. Or you're sitting in a meeting, someone hesitates, something gets thrown out on the table, and a lot of clients I work with deal with this. Something gets thrown out on the table and it's, hey, we need to get this done and this needs to happen. And no one in the room jumps to take it within probably a split second. And we just take it. We'll handle it. We'll fix it. We'll deal with it. So we fill the gap because there was a moment of hesitation, a small minute, not even a minute, probably a second. But to us, it felt like eternity. So we jumped in. Or something sits unfinished. There's a piece of a project that needs done that hasn't been touched yet. Maybe someone just hasn't gotten to it, but we don't think like that. It has to get done, so I'm going to take it on. So that's the challenge we run into is that these situations come up and there might be other parts to it, but we're so quick to see the need for responsibility that we don't pause. That second feels like forever. That list of things the person's sharing with you feels like a call to action. So at no moment do we stop and think whether this is mine. Do I need to do all these things? Do I need to be the one to take that on? We just move. It's about movement. We just keep going. We jump in. The movement creates the impression that we're being responsible, and the responsibility was always ours. It was always ours to take on. And in the chat, somebody shared responsibility is so often opportunity. So they have to watch about how they're filtering what opportunities come through, which is a big part of it too. We also don't want to miss out on things. So that's another good point about responsibility. There can also be opportunity in that. And we don't want to miss out on a chance to show we're competent, to show we're capable, to show we can handle more, to show that what we're doing. The challenge is that while there's opportunity in that, the question is it something we can take on? So looking at that, what we're doing looks like competence, looks like responsibility, looks like we're showing we're capable, which is why most people don't question it. Like, do you really need to take that on? And if you do have a good friend or a good manager, they will say, "Are you good? Do you have the space for that?" But to us, it looks like competence. To us, we're showing competence. I had someone share with me that, someone had taken they had concern, there was too much on their plate, and they shared that. And someone said, hey, let's move this from here to there. And then the person felt, was like, well, what if it looks like I couldn't do that? And that's been me. We can't handle everything and we say like, oh, this is really hard and this little extra piece that I'm doing is a challenge. And the person says, oh, okay, well, we can move it there. And then it's like, oh no, do they think I can't do it? So I'm curious for you, what feels most familiar? Where does yours usually come in? Is it the message? You start formulating a response? Is it that pause of hesitate that seems like hesitation from other people? Is it the unfinished thing? Is it the concern that opportunity may not be there? Or you might miss an opportunity to grow and develop? Or is it, I may not be able to show up what in a way that's important to me? We're not taking into consideration, do we have the space? Do we have the ability? Do we have the bandwidth? But I'm curious if one of those resonates with you or there's one that seems to pull you more, I'd love to hear from you. So we've just said, we just keep moving. We just keep taking and taking and bringing it in, and we got it. We can handle this. So why does it feel risky to pause and think, is this opportunity worth it for me? What makes it feel risky to say, let me think about that for a second? I've shared on many sessions the number of people I have coached with to be able to say the phrase, can I think about that for a moment? Can I get back to you? It's not an uncommon topic for us to coach on because as soon as someone feels they put those words out there, they make the assumption that the person hearing it or the people hearing it assume they're not confident. They would have answered like that. They would have taken it on. And that's the challenge. And so, what makes that pause feel risky? Well, it's uncomfortable. Think about that moment when someone puts out something that needs done and everyone's sitting around the table and no one instantly says, other than you, says, I'll do it. We're sitting there and we're like, to us, and I'm going to speak for myself, but I'm going to guess for many listening, it feels like an eternity. It's like, who's going to take it? Come on, pick it up. Let's go. Okay. And so then it probably was only a couple seconds, but we're like, okay, no one's going to take it. So for those of us who hold ourselves to a high standard, high expectations, being helpful, supportive, competent, if we don't jump in, it feels like we're creating a problem. We could solve this. We could help all these people sitting here. I can help everyone. And pausing can feel like irresponsibility. Think about that for a moment. We can feel irresponsible by not jumping in like that. And as someone just shared in the comments, we tend to stay in a fight or flight and operate from there instead of pausing. And that is the exact way because we're not proactive, we're reactive because we feel it's uncomfortable waiting for someone to pick up whatever it is, the committee, the project, dishes, whatever it may be. Our nervous system is in fight or flight. Mostly fight because we're going to jump in. So we feel irresponsible and we're uncomfortable. It's an icky feeling. I wish I had a more professional term, but it is icky. And it's like, okay, pick it up. Somebody do something. So we have those inner voices in our head in those moments that are sitting there. So I'm curious which one resonates with you. If I don't just respond, it's going to fall through the cracks. No one's going to do it. No one will pick this up if I don't do it. If I don't step in, it won't get done right. I'll be honest, I'm a bad one at that. If I don't step in and grab the laundry, it won't get done right. If I don't step in and make this decision, if I don't step in and write this social media post for my business, it won't be done the way I want it. When I was in HR, well, if I don't step in and offer my 2 cents on that, if I don't sit in every single interview, if it goes sideways and we miss something, if I wait, I'm adding to the problem. Why is no one picking this up? Everyone's just sitting here? Seriously? Well, I can't be just like everyone else. I can't be adding to the problem. So I should jump in. So a lot of this is rooted in the belief that if we don't handle it, it won't get done right. And the thing about that is often we can think, oh, well, it's my ego. I think I know better than everyone. And it's not necessarily laziness that we don't want to work with other people either. It's often a pattern we've developed because we are good at what we do. We know our stuff. We know how to help people. We know how to organize. We know how to keep things moving. We know, I've worked with a lot of project managers, and people love, even if someone doesn't have a direct knowledge of something, they love having these people on the project because the project gets done. They keep it moving. They jump in where they need to. But capability is not the same as obligation. Just because I'm capable of doing it, I'm capable of taking it on, doesn't mean I'm actually obliged or it's necessary for me to take it on. So think about that for a second. The situation unfolds, someone asks for something, someone shares something, the message comes in, and after the message comes in, it's uncomfortable waiting for someone, and we're sitting in that space of discomfort. Our nervous system is like, we got to do something. And then we just jump and act. And again, like I said, what feels like an eternity is probably just a few seconds. So I want you to think about this and play around with this idea for a moment. Discomfort is not your signal to act. It actually could be your signal to pause and decide. Think about that for a second. Discomfort pushes us to act to make that feeling go away because whatever our inner voice is telling us, as soon as we accept it, even if we're late, we feel awful about it later because we don't have the room or the bandwidth. In that moment, we can make that discomfort, that uneasiness, that I need to calm for a moment, only to come back a little while later in a different way. So think about what feeling comes up for you when those things sit out in front of you. Is it frustration? Is it like a nervousness of wanting to jump in? Is it discomfort? Excuse me. What is that feeling? And how can you use that feeling to spark you to say, wait? Now, if it's an opportunity or something and your brain is like very calm and as my son looks at it, his engine's in a green space that's calm and focused and you can say like, hey, this is something I want. That feeling is different. And I bet if you stop and think about it, you'll be able to find that. Mine occurs in the pit of my stomach. I know when I'm meant to do something because there is calmness that I can't describe. But anxiousness, nervousness, discomfort, those should be a signal to us. So think about for yourself, what does your inner voice say when you consider waiting? What does it tell you? What does it tell you will happen? What does it tell you the outcome will be? What does it tell you about yourself? Think about that. And think about what that feeling is to see, can you start using that to add to your self-awareness? Because we're going to use that now to transition into what do I do when I'm sitting in that moment and my mouth wants to go, yes, I'll take it. What I often call a skip filter out mouth moment. So there are ways this happens silently. You step in before ownership is clear. Who's actually going to take, who actually are they asking to take this on? Who actually is going to? Is there someone else in the room who wants it? Or we're equating capability, I can do it, to I'm responsible for it. Or are we assuming that something is ours because we noticed it first? We saw the project was sitting out there. We saw the need for it. We saw this happen. So in the capability trap, this is where most people who are good at what they do, who are strong, who are capable, who are really, really solid, again, come back to the question we ask ourselves is, can I handle this? And the answer is almost always, if not always, in that moment going to be yes, because we're not thinking about all the other projects, all the personal demands, all the, professional, personal expectations, things we have on our calendar, things we know that are coming up in a few weeks, things that are already there. We're not thinking about those. We have blinders on and we're looking at what's right in front of us. And the question comes to you, can I handle this? Yes, I've done it before. I know how to do this. I can organize. I know how. But that's not actually the right question. The question shouldn't be, can I handle this? Capability tells you you're able to. So that's always going to be a yes. It doesn't say, is it actually yours? Is there space to take this on? Do you really need to be the person who grabs this up also? Think about that. We're asking, can I handle this? Yeah, you can. The question is, really, is it mine to take on? Do I need to? And last month we talked about an 80-20. Most of the time, there's going to be a 20% like, yeah, you do need to take this on. It's part of your job, for your team. You've been asked directly, it is your responsibility. The other 80%, there's probably a lot of leeway in there for you not to take it on. So, noticing something and being responsible for it are not the same thing. Being capable of doing it is not the same thing. So, keep in mind awareness of a situation, capability to do it is not actually task assignment. It's not actually expecting you to take it on. So, here's what I want you to try to do and think about. Pay attention when these things come up and see what question you asked yourself. If you even ask yourself a question, because it might just go to from situation to accepting. But ask yourself, can I handle this? Change that to, is this actually mine to handle? Do I need to actually take this on? So, how do you decide in real time? That's the hard part. This is not just a mind shift change. This is not a shift that you work on over time and you try to look at it to find a different perspective. That would be helpful. It can actually be, it's not just shifting your mind to, is this mine? Is this not mine? That's helpful and that will grow over time. But starting at the beginning, there can actually be a set of questions. You can try to catch yourself. And if you need to, keep a post-it note in your Padfolio next to your computer, somewhere that you might be able to see it, that you can run through those questions quickly because they can help you in the moment before your mind's already moved to accepting it, before your mind's already moved on. So, the four questions you can ask yourself as something's coming in, as you're sitting in that meeting, as you're standing in the kitchen having the conversation as to who's going to take on what. Question number one is, what is actually being asked of me? Don't assume that you're being asked to take it on. Don't assume that the responsibility is yours. Don't assume people in the room think you need to take it on or think you're not competent if you don't. What is actually being asked of you personally? Because your name may not have been included, your department may not have been included. It just may have been something put out there like, hey, we need. So that's question number one. What is actually being asked of me? Question number two, am I responsible for the outcome or am I simply aware of the issue? Am I the one that actually like how this wraps up? If this is a project for your team, if this is how you're handling it, what is the actual outcome? That is, are you responsible for that? Are you responsible for a deliverable? Are you responsible for getting your child somewhere? Are you responsible for caring for a family member? Are you responsible for taking on a dinner or something? Or are you simply just aware that it needs to happen? Are you responsible for planning the friend night out? Because if you don't, because it's actually been asked of you, is it your month or whatever? Or are you just aware that something needs planned, that something needs accomplished, that something needs done? Because awareness and ownership, like we said, and capability are not the same thing. You don't own it because you know about it. And does this need action now, or does it just feel uncomfortable to leave it unresolved? Is this something we're asking for right now, or is this a possible future thing? Or is this something that could happen eventually? Or does it just feel uncomfortable to leave it unresolved? Does it just feel uncomfortable to sit back in your chair in that meeting and wait to see if someone else will take it on, to see what is actually needed, to find out what the pieces of this are? Is it just uncomfortable to hear what your child needs and where they need to be and when they need to be there? Or do you need action now? Like, hey, practice is in 5 minutes. Are you taking me? Or is dad taking me? Or is grandma taking me? Like, do you need to make a decision right now? In those cases, probably yes. But, or are you just sitting in some discomfort? So again, discomfort can show up as urgency. This is uncomfortable. I don't like how it feels. If I make a decision, this goes away. I have to make a decision now. And you do. And the fourth question, what level of response is actually needed? Do you have to actually give a yes or no? Or can you say, let me think about this, let me look into this. How can I help? How can I support this? Maybe not by taking it on. So what level of response is needed? So keep in mind there, what is actually being asked of me? Am I responsible for the outcome or am I simply aware of the issue? Does this need action now or just does it feel uncomfortable to leave it unresolved? And what level of response is actually needed in this moment? So think about it. This can give you the space to, read the full email before developing a plan. Actually try to make your mind, like when you want to start planning and start jumping ahead, actually get your mind to say no. Read the whole email. Because sometimes, even if it's a sentence, we read, there's a problem with this, but we don't read what the problem is or what they're asking for. We just start. It could be someone asking for you to tweak one word on their website, and now you're in the middle of mentally in the middle of a full-blown revamp. And it was a word, like my light switch. So read the full message before you start drafting a reply, before you start making a plan. Wait a few minutes before responding if something's not urgent. You don't have to respond to the text message that comes in instantly. You don't have to immediately, you know, give a yes or no. See how many minutes you have. You may have a couple days and not even realize that. Phrases like, can I think about this? Give me a minute. Just breathing. Those can all buy you some space. And ask directly, do you need me to take this on? Or do you just want me to weigh in? Do you just want me to give some ideas? Do you actually need me to take this on? So I'm curious if you're listening to this or you're currently on our live session, which of these four questions would be the hardest for you to actually stop and ask yourself in the moment? Curious about that. Because for me, it would probably be, what is actually being asked of me? Because I would read very little and jump in, and then the other questions would go out the door. So, what shifts when you start using these questions, when you start deciding, when you start taking a moment to see where this actually needs to fall? What starts happening to you? Well, externally, you look the same. You still look competent, you still look responsible, you still look capable. None of that has changed. You're not giving up any of that. So please trust me on that. You're not stopping what has made you you, what has made you the go-to person. What is changing is all internal. You're no longer reacting to everything that reaches you. You're not yes, 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 yes. Because think about it, there might be somebody else who wants to say yes. Maybe they're just quiet. Maybe they're nervous. Maybe you jumping in might stop them, which we don't often think about because we think we're helping. So you're deciding on what to take on, and that distinction is small in practice and significant over time. You're deciding what's being asked, what is needed, when do I have to get back to you, when do I want to respond. No one's seeing that on the outside. On the outside, it's you contemplating, you being responsible by thinking it through, you maybe offering other people the opportunity to do something. So this is really hard when the pressure is real and people count on you and people depend on you. And some of that is actual and some of that is self-imposed. We think everyone thinks that. We make a lot of assumptions. So pausing takes more than intention. It takes practice. Really using phrases like, give me a moment to think about that. Can I get back to you? What do you need right now from me? How can I help with this? That's not a flaw in the approach. It is honestly what change looks like. Pausing takes more than just intention. You have to practice those phrases. You have to practice using them. You have to practice holding your hands back from the text message or the keyboard, reaching to call someone. That used to be my go-to. I was going to fix it right now in HR. Someone sent me an email and they were upset about something. I was going to pick up the phone and fix it until the day I was like, wait, there's nothing for me to fix. I read the whole email. I really don't have to fix anything. And I sat back. How freeing that was. So, just to wrap this up and bring this all together, we've looked at what is awareness, what is your responsibility, what level of responsibility are you at? Is it toxic? Is it the stepping in phase? And are we moving our way back to a healthy level of what's ours? Is what's being asked in that 20% if we actually have to take it on because of job, family, whatever? It's an actual direct request or an actual responsibility of ours? Or is it in that 80% where I have some choice? And when we start to recognize, how do I know when I feel like I have to jump in? When's that fight or flight kicking in, as someone shared, which was an excellent point? When is that fight or flight kicking in? What am I feeling? Frustration? Scared? Worried? Incompetent? Am I feeling uncomfortable? And if we just want, and that's a signal to us to wait, I probably should pause. It's not that calm of like, yes, this is, I should take this on. And then we want to ask our questions. And I'm going to put them in the comments. So if you missed them or didn't get a chance to write them down, I'll put them down in the comments. The questions we want to ask ourselves are, what is actually being asked of me? Actually being asked of you. Not what are you assuming? Not what do you think? Actually, am I responsible for the outcome, or am I simply aware of knowing what needs done? Does this need action now? Or am I just feeling uncomfortable to leave it unresolved or frustrated or whatever your word is? And what level of response is actually needed right now? So when we were able to start that, we want to start practicing those. Like I said, a post-it note, a note on our phone, maybe a reminder on our phone to stop and ask ourselves this. And when we start doing that, we don't change our capability. We don't change how people see us. We change how we feel inside. We feel more in a healthy way in control. We feel more like we're making the decisions as to, is this an opportunity I can step into? Is this a way that I can help my team? Is this something that really does need me? Is this something I have the space in the room for? Not just this is something else I took on and now I got to figure it out. And now I'm mad that I took it on and I feel guilty that I can't get, I feel like my integrity is being questioned, is being harmed because I'm not getting it back as quick as I wanted to. And now I'm going down this other slippery slope. What you're taking on is in that space. So a couple of things I've shared in the past. I have a 3-minute reset. I'll throw that down in the comments too. That works into this. The 3-minute reset offers maybe one general question, but this offers, I gave you some specific questions. The 3-minute reset can give you a framework to focus and bring yourself in to see how do you want to, how does this work? How do I pause myself in the middle of everyone staring at me or in the middle of a busy meeting or in the middle of a busy day? And also, if you want support in how to apply this or figuring out where your triggers are or your barriers are to this, please, I would love to talk with you. This is so important to me because this is what I work with my clients on. This is where they're at. So please, I'll throw it down there too if you'd love to have a quick call to see how this is affecting you, what it could look like on the other side of being able to work these things in. So keep in mind that not everything that reaches you is yours to handle. Awareness and capability do not mean ownership. And this shift is not about doing less. I know those of you who find it important to listen to this are not looking to do less. You're looking, how do I handle what I have? It's about deciding what you take on before you act. So I want you to think about this as we wrap up. What's one thing from today you're going to try this week? I'd love to hear it in the comments, or if you want to reach out to me personally, I would love to hear what's one thing you're going to try this week to support you, to be more competent, to be more responsible, to be more capable. So, as I shared, I'm Lindsay Pfister-Kerr. I am grateful that you took time to be with me today, and if I can support you in any way, please don't hesitate to reach out. Take care.